So there is a subculture that goes on in prisons, which you guys probably already know. But I was a treatment facilitator in the prisons, in the men's prisons, for quite a few years, and in my state, and I facilitated treatment programming from in the maximum, minimum, and medium security prisons for quite a few years. And these classes were mandated. Oh my gosh, it's my dog. Okay, took care of my dog. So these classes were mandated, and the men were not always excited to be in these classes. And so the counselors and the people involved did try to take care about the people that they put together in our classes, in my class and the other facilitators' classes. And so try not to put heads of gangs or groups in one class, or the victim and perpetrator in one class. They took care to do that, but it didn't always work out that way. And so, as you can imagine, it was a potential tinderbox of a disaster. So really, the impetus was on me to create an environment that was safe for them, that they felt respected, and also safe for me, as well as run the treatment program. And so you do want to rattle the cage a little bit, poke the bear a little bit, because you want them to have a trigger experience in class so they can actually use the skills that they're learning. So it is a very, very fine line between, managing it, but without being soft, and then also doing the treatment part, which does require, people experiencing tension and anger and all of that stuff, and practicing the skills that we're learning. But I had one trick that actually, other than being firm, fair, and consistent, and, very communicative about what my expectations were, all of that stuff. The one thing that really endeared me to them was that I did compliment them a lot. And I worked really hard at doing that and drawing out their strength. And the strength-based approach is an evidence-based approach. But I wasn't lying to them. They would know if I was lying, if I was just, faking it. So I really did try to notice things that were true and authentic about them, and say things to them, like, I noticed you were really patient, or, I noticed you, were, you got your homework turned in earlier, whatever it was. And they would get to the point where they were telling me they would come to the class with, stories of their successes and benchmarks that they've had. They'd come in and show me their, roll up their sleeves and say, "Look, Mrs. Young, I benched 350 pounds today," or whatever. And I never shamed them. I didn't say, "That's gross. Don't show me that. That's inappropriate." I never said anything like that. I was like, "That's awesome. Good for you. How long have you been doing it? What's your PR?" Just stuff like that. And so they were very enthusiastic about sharing their stuff, and we always made a big deal out of it in class. Well, one day I had this guy, very quiet guy, so obviously probably I could tell just by the whole situation that he was low on the pecking order. And his quiet voice, he said, "I'm graduating later today from this program." And it was like a volunteer program. It wasn't like a big prison sanctioned one, but maybe it wasn't a big deal, but it was a really big deal to him. And he said, "I was wondering if you'd come to my graduation." And it was within my normal work hours. And I said, "Well, listen, I would love to come. Congratulations. This is super awesome. I'd love to come. But I don't want to come because that building that you're graduating in is across the yard. I don't like walking across the yard because I do not like being catcalled. I just don't." And he said, "Okay." And then another guy, another quiet, one of the more quiet ones, also piped up, and he said, "Well, I'm actually graduating from that too. We'd love it if you could come." And I said, "Well, that's awesome." We gave them both the props, congratulated them, talked about it, tell us about the experience, what you learned, blah, blah, blah. But I said, I don't want to go. I'd like to go, but I'm not going to go because I do not like walking across the yard. I don't like being catcalled. I just don't like it. And, sorry, but that's the reality of the situation. And another one of the guys that obviously holds a lot more weight. And for those of you that don't know, if you hold a lot of weight in the prison subculture, that means you're probably one of the more violent ones, one of the more intimidating and violent ones, and have probably committed more of the violent crimes. But one of these guys spoke up, and he said, "You know what? You can go, Mrs. Young. Go to the graduation. Nobody's going to catcall you." And I was like, "Well, okay." And I said, "Well, you can't guarantee that." And he goes, "Yes, I can." And I said, well, I don't want to put that on you. I don't know. He goes, don't worry about it. You can go. Another guy in my class piped up. He said, yeah, you go. And I said, okay, I'm trusting you too. I'll go to the graduation. I appreciate it, but I don't want to get catcalled. And they said, you won't. A few hours later, we finished class. I walked down, through out of my office, through my classroom. My classroom, to get out of the unit, past the wall of showers, down the stairs, out into the yard. And it's big, and then across the whole yard is this little outbuilding. And so I start walking the long walk. Not one cat call. Not one. I did get a couple of, hey, Mrs. Young, hey, Mrs. Young. And I waved, hey, hey. Went to the thing, did the graduation, congratulated everybody. By the time we got out, the yard was empty. Everybody had gone in. And so we walked back. But the next day I was like, I don't know what you did, but props to you. I did not get one cat call. And we had a really good time. We talked about it, and I just gave them the props. And this is what I want to say about that whole thing. I think it's really easy for us in our minds to categorize people as being good or bad. And the danger with that is that if we idolize people, when we idolize people and think, oh, this person is good, when they do something that is not good, maybe we could even say bad, but arguably not good, or even potentially not good, we don't even want to accept it in our minds. We want to just push it, but this person's good. They would never do that. Instead of acknowledging that, yeah, good people can do bad things. In fact, every good person that we would consider good has done bad things. And it's okay. It's better for us to not idolize people and be okay with calling that out and saying, listen, and in our minds, mostly in our minds, thinking good people can do bad things and not idolizing people. The flip side, it is just as hard when a person that we categorize as bad, when they do something that could be considered good. And the thing about it is when I called these guys out and said, what you guys did was great. You used your power for good. They actually got an internal benefit from that in their subconscious, whether they realized it or not. They actually elevated the little guys. They made space for me. And they got to be heroes in a whole new way, which changed, even for that minute, even in a microscopic level, how they view themselves and their relationship to the rest of the world. And so instead of being, definitely call out bad behavior or unhelpful behavior or whatever you want to call it, but negative behavior, oppositional behavior that doesn't lead to anything good. Call it out, but also let's get used to thinking, even if we categorize this person as bad, let's not be shy about saying, acknowledging, verbalizing if in fact they have done something good, which is what we did that day. And they got their props. I got to go to the graduation, and it was overall a really great day. Something to think about. This is Vashti coming to you from Vashti's house. Hope you have a great day. Make yourself at home.